Hello, everybody. In this screencast, we're going to go over the midterm assignment. So basically, that's the document, and you were given some support files, which has the data services class and a couple of pictures or images that you're going to use, like the trash can and the heart and so on. So something to keep in mind is that not all data service methods should be called in the background and not on the main thread. Okay, cool. So we're going to use async task to do that. All right. So basically, there is a login, there is a create account. There's a forums list. It has two buttons at the top, and then there's a recycler view, and it indicates explicitly that you should use, I think, recycler views. So if you see, this is the login, create new account, and then the forums, and it indicates that you should use recycler views. Here it is, recycler view rows, using a recycler view as shown in figure 1C. All right, so basically that's, if you look here, the login and the create account is very similar to what we did before. The forums is just a recycler view, and it has row items. It has two buttons at the top, and if you scroll down a little bit, they have a new forum screen, and then they have the forum details, which has the forum information at the top. It has the ability to show you the number of comments, and then you can write a new comment. There's a button, and then there's a recycler view at the bottom here. All right, so let's start by building. So basically, I built already all the layouts. So all the layouts, I already included them here. See, if you look here, I created the layouts for the login, so the login layout, create account layout. So these are just simple layouts that I created. Also, I created the layouts for the forums layout, which has the list. It has a recycler view and two buttons, right? At the top, one of them is logout and one of them is add forum. Very similar to here, which is the new forum or add forum, logout, and then there is a recycler view. And similarly, I created the new forum one. Okay, so what is the new forum one? Create forum. Here it is. Has two edit texts and a button and another button. Maybe we can make this right aligned just for the sake of formatting. Here's the cancel, so just to match it. You have a submit, cancel, two edit texts. We're good to go. And then I also the forum details, which is I call it fragment forum. And here we are. These are just simple layouts. I didn't create the fragments yet. I just created the layouts. And if you look here, it has some information at the top. Okay, here they are. And it has the number of comments, somewhere to enter the comments, edit text, a post, and then another recycler view. All right. So I have all the layouts done, right? Also, in addition to that, I created the layouts for each of these rows. You see the row items. So if you look here, I have the row item for... And these didn't take that much time, probably like 20 minutes to do all of this. But anyhow, so I have the forum list item. Here it is. So basically, here is the forum list item. It has a text view, text view, text view, and then another text view here, and two image views. Text view, text view, text view, and two image views, right? And similarly, the comment list item. Also, here it is. That's a comment list item, which is these list item. It has... I adapted things a little bit. So basically I put the icon at the bottom, not a big deal. And it has three text views. Here's 1, 2, and 3, right? 3 text views and an icon. All right, so I have all of these. I can move this icon up, but anyway, let's keep it like this for the time being. All right, so now let's look at the login. So I already have just created two fragments and included the boilerplate code that is inside them. So let's have a look at the login fragment. If you look at the main activity, I also have a layout for the main activity, which is technically empty. You see the main activity is empty, it just has a root view. And that's the idea of the root view. And that's basically where all the fragments are going to be displayed. All right. So now if we look at the main activity has just loads the login fragment, right? And you can see here the login fragment is not receiving anything, right? So here is the login fragment. I did not, so you see here, I only have the data services. I imported it already. I have the login fragment and I have create account fragment, which are basically the boilerplate. You did these in previous assignments. So that's why I didn't go into the details of how you create them, but it's straightforward. You create a fragment and then basically this is the layout. I'm retrieving the edit texts. And what I'm doing here is just, if you run this app, actually this app should run. So if you go here, you run the app and basically it shows up like this. I have hardwired the username and password so that I don't have to type them every time in the assignment. So I hardwired them like this. The edit text, I could set the text in the onCreate view and it will show up like this so that I don't have to keep on typing them every time I run the assignment, right? When I'm developing, okay? Of course, I'm going to comment these out or to remove them before I submit, so that I can have different users and so on. All right, so now if you look at the requirement is that these data services should be called, all the methods should be called in an async task. Okay, we'll do that. Now we know that after the login is completed, we would like to go to somewhere, right? So let's have a look at, before we do this, let's implement the async task. So if you look at the logic here, it's very straightforward. This is the submit button for the login screen. And in the submit button, after the user submits, we check to see, we get the email, we get the password. We check to see if none of them are empty. If any of them is empty, we just say, we show the toast message. Otherwise, we need here to initiate the async task. So to build the async task is very straightforward. I'll just create a class here. I'll call it, for example, do login task, all right? And extends async task, async task. Here it is, async task. And you see I need to specify 3 parameters. So let's say the first parameter is going to be the parameters that you provide to the async. And I'll provide it some strings, which is probably going to be the username and password. Then there is a progress. For the time being, let's also make it string, and we will look at why this is a string. And then what's the end result? So the end result is whatever the async task is going to do in the background is going to generate. So now I need to figure out what's the end result. So basically, for the time being, I'm just going to say, let's make it void, just for the time being, okay? And we'll see what it should generate. So now I know that I'm going to implement the methods, and it needs to implement do in the background. Okay, you could see here that do in the background is returning void because we indicated that it's void here. But anyhow, so now in here we know that we are going to do data services dot login, and you could see that the data service dot login returns an auth response. Okay, so basically we need that auth response. So basically what we could do is, instead of returning a void, we'll say auth response. Okay, and similarly it's going to return an auth response, right? So basically what I'm going to do is, let's get the username and password. Let's say the first string is going to be, this is going to be, let's say, email. Email is going to be strings of 0, the first parameter I'm going to send. And then string password is going to be strings of 1. That's the second parameter I'm going to send. And then I'm going to do in the background. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to return data services.login, and I need the email password. So basically that's what I'm going to do. Now it's not happy because this login generates an exception. So basically it could throw an exception. So I just surrounded by an exception. I'm returning now. So if everything goes well, the try goes well, then I'm going to return this. If there is any problem, we get here. So basically when we get here, I'd like to tell the user there is something that has happened, and we'll look at it in a little bit. So now after the login is over, I'll have to do on post execute, right? And here is on post execute. It receives an auth response. And that auth response, if you look, auth response dot, you could say get account. So the auth response has 2 parameters, the account and the token. So basically it has 2 things. So basically that's what we need to pass on back to the main activity. So here, when we are done, there is a void. This is the listener, right? So we are going to tell the activity, go to fragments, right? The fragments list, right? And we're going to pass to it the auth token, the auth response, I mean, okay? And we call it the auth response. That's what we're going to pass. Okay, so that's this. Now similarly, you see in the login screen when you click on create new account, so basically you want to go to create account. So basically I say void go to create account, and that's the other method. Okay, cool. So now when we are all done, if the auth response is not equal to null, because you see it could return null, you see here it could be null if there is a problem, right? Then what we're going to do, we're going to say mListener dot go to fragment list, and we're going to send it what? The auth response, right? So we're going to send back the auth response to the activity. Now if we go back to the activity, now we have to implement these methods. So we go here, we have to go and implement the methods, the 2 methods that we added. Here they are. And now we'll have to figure out what this is. But anyhow, the auth response comes back here. Maybe we have to store it locally. We have to store it in the activity. So I'll copy this, create a local variable, and call it, for example, m auth response, right? That's my local variable that is stored inside the activity. And basically that auth response is going to say this dot auth response, just for the time being, auth response equal to the auth response that we receive, just for the time being. And then we will figure out how to go to the fragments list and so on. And then go to create account. It's also straightforward. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, go to create account. We know that we begin transaction, then we replace we replace at root view, and we replace new create account fragment. So basically, and that's basically what we're going to do. We're just going to go to the account fragment. Actually, if I run it, I think it will work. So let's see. Here we are. Now when I click on create new account, it should go to the create new account fragment. But it's not happening. Why? Because we didn't wire it up. You see here, there is one event listener for the first button, and then the event listener for the other button. I'll just say mListener, go to create account. So now we run it now. The transition will happen. So basically we are here. When you click here, it goes to the next screen, and so on. So that's straightforward. Now the async task, back to the async task. So now here we are in the async task. This is the auth. You could see here, in the background, we're doing the authentication. The login is happening here. If everything is good, you get back an auth response. If anything happens, if there is a problem, and for example, the username and password not correct, you get an exception, and then you return null. And that null would indicate that we are checking to see for null here, and we're good to go. Okay. We'll only transition to the fragment list if the authentication is successful, right? Okay. So that's how you do this. So now how do we run this async task? It's straightforward. Say new, do login, dot execute. Here's the execute. And then we said we're going to pass the email, comma, the password. These are the parameters that we're going to pass. And that's it. That's how we initiate that async task, and we're good to go. You see, we are not then, see here, we are not doing the transition to the next screen here. No, we're only initiating the async task. And then the async task does the do in the background, returns something. On post execute, we figure out if everything is fine, then we can transition. And that's it. That's basically the assignment. Now, if you want to report errors, right? So all you have to do is that you can post. So basically, you could see here, what you could do is I could publish progress. I could say publish progress e.get message. Okay, so I'm publishing progress, and that progress is going to be a string. And then here I could say on progress update. Okay, and then I could say toast dot. Okay, I could say toast. I could say get activity. Here it is. And then what I could do is I could type the values of 0. So basically, that's the message that is going to show up if there is an not successful response, and so on. So basically, I could do it like this to publish the progress. And we're good to go. That's it. So basically, that is the login. So now, if we do this, let's see. Let's create a fragment here. Okay, create a new fragment, and I'll call it a new blank fragment. And I'm going to call it the forums list fragment, for example. Okay, press enter, and here it is. Now I ask myself, does this fragment need anything to function? Does it need any parameters to be passed to it to function? And to answer this question, I know that this fragment is going to list. This is this fragment. Okay, this is this fragment, just the list of forums, right? Now this fragment, I know that it needs to have this forum. I know that it needs to have a list, and it should be able to retrieve that list from somewhere, right? And basically that list is you're going to retrieve it from, let's say, let me just experiment something here. Data services, see data service dot get all forums, and you could see here the get all forums requires a token, so it needs the token, right? So how do I get the token from? You get the token from the auth response. You see auth response dot get token. You can get the token. So why don't I just pass all the actual token? I'll just pass the whole the auth response. I will pass it on to the fragment list, forums list fragment. I'll just pass it the whole thing. So how do I do that? Straightforward. So basically, I need to come in here, and what I'm going to do is that I know that these are the names of the parameters. I'll call it, this is the auth response. Okay, call it like this, for example. This is the key. All right, this is my key, and then the parameter is going to be an auth response, and I'm going to call it the auth response. Right? So that's the variable that I'm going to store, and I'm just going to follow the same standard that we are doing here. Basically, this one is going to be, this is going to be the parameter that I'm going to pass. Here it is, and auth response. I can also pass only the token, but just for the sake of demonstrating that you can pass, and this is put serializable. Similarly, this is the key, and this is the value. Here we are, and we're done with this here. And then basically we do the same thing here, mauth response, get arguments, get serializable, and the arg, this is the key, and then we just have to cast it to data response, and we're good to go. So basically this is going to be the code that we need to include to get this done, basically to pass that parameter from here to here, right? So basically we're going to pass the parameter, which is the auth response upon a successful login, right? So I usually do this, view equals, right? View equals this, and I'm going to return the view, right? So that's what I'm going to return here. Just this is all boilerplate code that we did before. Now we're passing that mauth response, and basically what I'm going to do is in the main activity, when you are all good to go, I'm going to copy this code from here, paste it here, and basically I'm going to say, I'm going to use the get instance. So I'm going to say forums list fragment dot new instance, and I'm going to pass the mauth response, and we're good to go. Here it is. So I passed the mauth response to the fragment, and it goes to that fragment. So now when I run it, let's see if this is going to work. Let's see what we did in the login fragment. In the login fragment, we're initiating the do login with the username and password. Okay, so basically if we go back here, I already have hardwired the username and password. Click on login, takes a little bit of time, and boom, and we are here. Okay, now I just need to change the title to show that this is the forums list. So I go back here, and here I could say get activity dot set title, and we could say the forums list, right? And then we run it again, go back here, and here we are, login, takes a little bit of time, boom, and so on, right? Now let's say I run it again, and then lets me enter a wrong email, like so, and add an M here, right? I click on login, and here it is, email account not found. So this toast is happening because of what we did here. And basically you could see that it returned a null, right? But also if there is an exception that happens, this means there is a problem. We just publish progress. Publish progress does this here. It shows the toast message, and we're returning a null. That's why the transition doesn't happen, right? So basically we have the login set up, right? And similarly, it's very, very similar what we're going to do to the create account. It's very, very similar. So basically here is the create account. The layout is already set up. We're doing the same thing here. And in create account, we need to create an async task. Let's create an async task also. Class, I'll call it, for example, create account task extends async task. Now the parameters, string is for, if you look at create new account, here it is, string 1, 2, 3, 3 strings that I'm going to send, and then comma, the progress is also going to be a string, so to report any issues. And then similarly, the end is going to be an auth result, auth response, which is very similar to the login. And basically, it's very, very similar to what we're going to do with the login. You can even copy the code from there if you want. But anyhow, I can do that. I could do the, I'm going to send name, email, and password. So basically, the string is going to be string name equal the strings of 0, name, string email equals strings of 1, okay, and then similarly string password equals strings of 2. So basically I have these already taken care of here, and then basically I'm going to say data services. I'm going to return data services dot register, and you can see here it requires a name, email, and password, and it returns an auto response. Perfect. So we'll do that, name, email, and password. And basically here it is. And then similarly, this generates an exception. I'll just surround it by try catch. And now you could see that if there is a problem, we're returning null, right? Now on post execute, and basically we do the same check. If the auth response, okay, is not equal to null, then we're going to use mListener to do something. Let's have a look at the methods. So mListener, basically what I could do is I could copy the same function that I had in go to list fragment, right? So basically it's doing the exact same thing, copy it here. And then I'm going to do what? mListener dot go to list fragment auth response. Same, it's exactly the same pattern, so I can just use it. I don't even have to implement it. You see, it's not complaining. The main activity is not complaining because both of them have the same name, right? Go to list, right? Now, but also we know that create fragment, you also can have the cancel, so void, so go to login, right? Go to login. Basically, if you click the cancel button, right? So now the cancel button is this one. I just say, hey, mlistener.go to login, right? And that's what the main fragment, the main activity is not going to be happy because that method needs to be implemented, and straightforward. Implement methods, go to login. So I'll go to the one, go to create account. I'll copy this one, or I can just do this one, right? Copy this, paste it here, and instead of add, I will replace. And basically I'm replacing with the login fragment, right? So now we can run this and test it if you want. So basically we are here, create new account, cancel. Create new account, cancel. So basically this is working, just a simple wiring that we have here. Now let's, the async task. So basically this is the async task to create an account. Here it is, and so on. So let's create an account. Let's say, how do we do that? We say new create account task dot execute and execute. Here it is. And we're gonna pass what? The name, email, and password. Okay, so this is the name, email, and password. Here we are. Here is name, email, password. We pass it to the async task. We retrieve it like this, and then we are doing the register, and we're good to go. So let's run it and just test things out. Let's say I want to register somebody, create new account. I'll register the same, let's say Bob, with the same email, a@a.com, and then I'll just say test. Want to test the password, whatever password. Click on, and I click on submit. It should show. It takes a little bit of time. Yeah, we are not showing the toast message. So basically you can see this didn't happen. So basically what I need to do is I do on progress update, right? So now this is what we are going to do. We're going to publish progress, right? And e.get message, that's the exception. We're getting the message from the exception. And then here is the toast message and get activity. And then basically here we do values of 0, right? So now if we run it again, let's run it again and create a new account. Let's say test a@a.com, test123, and submit. And you could see here that email already used by another user, right? So basically if we just add another M here, that becomes a valid account, and then basically it transitions to the forms list. Why? Because you could see that if everything goes well, we transition to the go to the fragments list. Why do we call it fragments list? Let's rename this to the forums list. So basically this is the forums list, right? Let's do that. I'll do forums list here and here, and I think also in the login fragment, and here and here, and also we have to change it in the main activity. All right, here it is. Okay, cool. So I just change it to make sense, the forums list, right? So here it is. So basically we are just going to the forums list. Here's the forums list. Now let's have a look. So we already demonstrated, this is running in the background. Things look good, straightforward. All right, so now let's look at the forums list fragment. So now we are going to pass to that forums list fragment the mauth response, which we are doing here. Whenever you want to go to it, you have to pass it the auth response, which is, this happens after a successful login, right? And then basically you're passing the auth response in the new instance using the new instance method. And that goes all the way to the forums list fragment. Okay, cool. So now we are here. Now I have the layout already set up as I indicated. So basically the layout is this one, right? So if we go here, that's empty, but I already have created one. So let's say I delete this one. I'll delete it. I'll delete this. Click OK. Just delete it anyway. It's going to go crazy here. So now I have it called the fragments forum. Let me rename that. So I'll refactor and rename this one to match the name that was there. And now it's happy again. So now if we run it, you'll see what it looks like. So I run it. Okay. And I'll click on login and just wait a little bit, and you could see here we are. Okay, cool. So now I know that there are some components that I have to bring in from there. And so basically there are 3 components. So basically if you go look at the code, and this is going to be called the forums list fragment. Okay, here it is. Okay, because I copied the code, I copied the layout. So anyhow, so here is the names of the variables. I always like to call them, use the same names as they are indicated to in the layout. Okay, to match the file, the variable names here. So I'll do a view dot find view by ID, find view by ID r dot ID dot, here's the button logout dot set on click listener. Okay, new on click listener. Here it is. It's the first button. That's for the log out, and then also I have another one for the create. So basically add new forum. Here it is. So I have another one for add new forum. So I'm done with the second button. Now if I want to get the other one is the recycler view. So here it is. Create a variable here called recycler view. Okay, here we are, and Alt enter. Okay, so here is recycler view equals recycler view equals view dot find view by id, find view by id, r dot id dot, and the name is recycler view. Here we are. All right, here we are. So I have the recycler view. I have all the stuff set up. Okay, here we are. Now I know that this is going to be a list of what? I know that I have to get the list of fragments somehow, right? So I can create a function void, and this is going to be called, let's say, private void get forums, right? Okay, just the method that I'm going to call whenever I want to get the forums, right? And basically I could have a method if I want to, but let's not create a method. Let's see. So now I know that these forums are going to come in how? Data services dot get forums, get all forums, right? Get all forums. I'm going to pass it the token, and it's going to return an array list of forum, right? Okay, cool. So now let's create an array list of forum. So I know that there will be an array list of forum. Array list of forum, and I'll call it forums. That's my forums equal new array list. Okay, so that's an empty array list. So I'm going to say that this is my empty array list that I'm going to associate with my recycler view. All right, so let's go ahead and create the async task. Class get forums task extends async task, right? Async task. Now, what's the string? The first component. It's going to be the token, which is a string, right? String. Any reporting of any problems, maybe I'll have another string for the progress. And then what's the end result? The end result is an array list, right? Array list of forum, right? Of type forum. That's becomes my async task. And now when I go here, implement the methods, and we're good to go. Here it is, right? Now what this is going to do is that, let's say, string token equals strings of 0. Here it is. And you notice that I put the async task inside the fragment. You know, I didn't put it outside the fragment. Complicates things. You put it outside the fragment, you have to communicate with it back and forth. Just too much of pain. So now data services dot get all forums and token. Now we're good. So that's what's going to, and that's what I'm going to return. Return this. It's not happy because there's a semicolon missing, and it could create an exception. I'll try surround by try catch, and what I'm going to do is publish progress e dot get message. That's what I'm going to do, and otherwise I'm going to return a null. All right. Okay. So that's basically all what it does. The do in the background does the work, gets the list, returns the list, and then on post execute gets the list. So then I have to check to see if forums is not equal to null, right? Then what will I do? So that's the new forums, right? These are the new. This is the received forums, right? Forums list, right? That's the received one, right? So now if that's not equal to null, then what I will do is I'll say forums, my forums dot clear. That removes everything from it, and then forums dot add all, and I'm going to add all the received ones. And here we go. So that's does this. Now here I have to tell the adapter that the data has changed. So let's create the adapter and all that interesting stuff. But that's how you get your forums, right? That's the async task. And basically I can call it here if I want to. At the end I could say get this, boom, boom, dot, you say new, right? You create a new one, new, get async task, dot execute, right? And then we pass it the token, which is the mauth response dot get token, right? And that's how you initiate that async task, right? So you create a new instance of it, and then you execute it, and you pass it these parameters. Perfect, straightforward, right? So now what is left is to create the adapter, right? Okay. So now to create the adapter, I already also created for you the layout for the adapter. So now to create that adapter, so now if we go here, now to create the adapter, I have to create a class. I'll call it, for example, the forums adapter, for example, extends recycler view dot adapter, right? Here it is. And it needs a view holder. I'm not going to add the view holder now. I'll create a class here. I'll say forum view holder extends recycler view dot view holder. Okay. Here is the view holder, right? And we close that. So now this guy needs to know the type. So I will just surround it by this, and that is the type. Here we are. And now I need to create some methods. So we go here, implement these methods. Boom, here are the methods. Now it's not happy for some reason. Let's see. Okay, let's see how. I'll fix that in a little bit. Now the view holder needs a constructor. We create a constructor. Here it is for it. Now it's not happy for some reason. Okay, here we are, just importing the library and so on. So I have created the adapter inside the fragment. Here it is, and I just followed the boilerplate code. If you don't know how to do this, you can go into, for example, the recycler view, and it tells you how to create. Here it extends the view holder, and here's the view holder, and so on, right? So it has the view holder, and the view holder is part of the class, right? So basically here it is. So I created the view holder, part of the view holder, and here's everything, right? Now I need to inflate some part, right? So that what I'm going to inflate is that you see here there is the code for the inflating. Here is the code for inflating. I'll copy that. Here it is, and basically that's when you create a view holder, right? So basically that's what we're going to create is the view holder, right? So basically the group is going to be the parent. Here it is, parent.view group. This is the parent, and then this is our .layout dot forum list item. Here is the forum list item, and what we're going to return is the view holder. We create a new forum view holder, and we pass it the view that we created, right? So that's how we do this, which is boilerplate code again, which is what's happening here. See, now we created the view holder, and sometimes what we will do is, if you need the view holder for something, so what we could do is you could say, yeah, if we needed it for something, we can specify it here, but I'm not going to use it now. Okay, so now let's go back to this is the forums list, and then we have the forum list item. Here it is. Let me copy, and that's gonna be the okay, let's see, forum list fragment, copy this, paste it here also. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these parameters so that I know what is this. Okay, and I'll go back here, and these are of use here inside the view holder, right? Here is the code for these guys. I'm going to paste them here. Okay, cool. So now I have several of them. So one of them is the text view. Here's the text view, which is the title, right? So I'm going to do that. That's the title of the forum. Text view. Here's the title. Okay, so this one is done. Okay, and then I have the description. Okay, here's the description. See, I know I use these names that are very descriptive so that I don't get lost, right? So here's the description. There is that. And then this is the date and the likes. I just have one edit text to include both of these. So I have one edit text to show all of this, right? All right, so then this is done. And then you have an image view, two image views. So I have an image view, view. One of them is the like. Oh, here's the like, and the other one is the delete. Okay, so I have two of them, and we're good to go. So that's this. Now I need to find them. So basically I'll go here. I'll say, for example, the title equals item view dot find view by id, r dot id dot, and that's the same name, so I don't have to get lost. And then I copy this one, paste it a couple of times. I know there are 6, so here's 6. This is the first one, second one, the third one, and then the fourth one, here it is, the fourth one, and then this is the image view like 1, 2, and then delete 1 and 2. So here we are. The builder is completed. Now here it's asking you to get the item count. So basically what I could do is I know the item count is going to be the forums dot get or size, right? So that's the item count, right? A lot of you ask us, hey, I have my recycler view set up, but I don't see anything. Most probably the adapter is not connected to the recycler view, or maybe you didn't set up the size, the item count correctly, right? So now here is the bind. So basically the position, you get the forum. So here's the forum that was in question. Here's the forum equals forums dot get at position. So that's the forums, right? So that's one. And then basically you have the holder also. So basically you could say when it's time to do that, what I could do, what I usually do is I say public set up forum item, for example. Here it is. And basically I'll pass you a forum. Forum, right? So I'm going to pass you a forum. It returns nothing. And here it is. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the holder, I have the holder dot set up forum item, and I'm going to pass it the forum. Okay, so just, and then here I will do all the setup. So one of the setups is that to set up the title, I'll say text title. So for example, text view title dot set text forum dot get title. Yeah, so I'm setting up the title now. Perfect. So I have the title. Right, and then basically that's the title. I can also set up the description and so on. So basically I can do all of them. So basically I can do this one, just for the time being, and this is the description. And I'll get description. Here it is. And the owner. Okay, so basically here the owner. How do I get the owner? If you look at forum dot get that created by, it returns an account, and I say get name. Right, so that gives me the name of whoever created that forum. So I have set up the title, the description, the owner, the likes and date. I will look at it in a little bit, but I can show you the number of likes. So basically a very common mistake. Let's just show the number of likes. So basically if I do this, we'll look at it in a little bit. Let's just wire things up, and then we'll look at how we can do this. But give us a minute. So now what we're going to do is, this is just the adapter, right? So I know that there will be an adapter. There's the adapter, and I will just define it here. Adapter, here's the adapter, right? Now in the onCreate view, when you are getting the recycler view, let's create the adapter. Adapter equals new forums adapter, and here's your adapter. Okay, cool. Here is the adapter, right? And then we need to set up the if you look at the setup of the recycler view, you can look at the video, or maybe you can look at the sample app. See, there is a sample app here that they provide, and yeah, if you want to, or if you are familiar with the video, you can just go ahead and use the stuff in the video. It's straightforward. We already talked about that before. So now if you look here, you have a recycler view fragment, and what they're doing is say they're getting a recycler view, they're creating a linear layout. Let's do that. Do this here. Here is the linear layout, and you can create a layout manager, and here's the linear layout manager. Here's my layout manager. Here's the layout manager, and then you say recycler view dot set layout manager to the m layout manager. Here it is, and then similarly recycler view dot fixed, it has fixed size to true. Okay, so here we are. And then you say recycler view dot set adapter to adapter, right? Here's my adapter, and here we go. So basically that's all what we're doing here. We're setting up the recycler view. We have nothing to show, right? Why we have nothing to show? Because the forums is empty. See, these forums list is empty, right? But then what happens is that we did call the get forums task, right? We did actually execute it, and then when it's done, it updates the forums, and then all we have to do is tell the adapter dot notify data has changed. So now when you tell it notify data has changed, it goes and redraws the list. All right, so let's run this and see if something happens. So we're here, and let's say we log in, wait a little bit, and then boom, here they are. Here's the list. There are two forums in the system. We'll set up this delete and the like button shortly, but you could see that I have my buttons are already there. We need some communication back with the activity to do that. The logout is very straightforward. Let's do the logout, and let's delay that. But let's show the number of likes. So now to show the number of likes, all of this stuff is inside the adapter. So back here, if you go here, now this is the async task. If you go back to the adapter, here is the adapter. Now inside the adapter, this is where we're setting up things. Let's say we say text view, number of likes and dates, and then we say set text, and we say forum dot liked by. Okay, this is has set, and then you get its size. Now the problem with doing that, this app is gonna crash. I'll show you why. Okay, look at, and let's say we log in, and it crashed. Right, so basically if you look where it crashed here at 150, this line 154, and the reason is because the invalid string resource ID. So the problem is that when you do set text and you pass it a string, sizes is going to be an integer, right? When you pass it an integer, it expects that integer to be a resource ID, right? So basically you need to change it to a string. For example, I could concatenate it and say likes, for example, something like that. Now it changed to a string. It's not an integer because this is an integer, right? And if it's an integer, it thinks this is a resource ID, r.id. Right? All right, here we are, and you can see here 2 likes, right? So now just some cosmetic stuff. I could say integer like count, right, equals this one. So this is my like count, right? Okay. And then basically what I could do, I could say that if if the like count equal to 0, right? So that's one option, right? Or else if like count is equal to 1, right? Or and then else is, this means that there is many, right? So basically what I could do is, if there is many, I'll do that, right? It's going to be the like count, right? Just for cosmetics purposes, it's going to be number of likes, and then this is going to be 1 like, right? So basically it's only 1. So basically I'm just going to say 1 like. It's going to be 1 like, and then other than that is going to be no likes, right? So I'm going to say no likes, right? Something like that. Obviously we have a case here where we only have 2 likes, so it's gonna show up as 2 likes because both of them have 2 likes. But if there are more, it's gonna show up like this. Perfect. So now that's done, right? And now we want to show the date. So this, we want to show something like this. So basically we want to show that 100 likes concatenated with something and then something here. All right, so how do we do that? So we want to get the date. So this was created. So if you look at the forum dot get created at, it returns a date. All right, so cool. So there is something called the date formatter, right? So it's simple formatter. That you can find that also very straightforward in you can go here and look for example, date formatter Android. Okay, here it is, and they will say it's the simple date format, and they have an example. If you scroll down here, they have an example how to use it. It's a simple class to use. You can find an example somewhere. Here is the date format. Here it is, and show you how to use it. Here it is, and get instance and so on. So basically you can parse a date, change it into string and so on, and there is a simple date format which is very straightforward to use, right? So basically you create an instance of it, right? So basically what I'm going to do is, if we want to format the date, all you have to do is just create a simple date format, right? And Alt enter to get it in, and you import it as the simple. Okay, here is the formatter equal new simple date format, right? And then basically you can specify the pattern, what pattern you want the date to be in. Now if you look at what we are asking you to do, is that the pattern is that it's a month, and then there is this year and so on. So basically you can find it from here. So basically if you look here, what we're looking for is I know that there will be AM or PM. So if you look here, A is to specify if it's AM or PM. So if I put A, that's the last part is going to be of the pattern. Now I want to have also the hours of the day and capital H or small h. So basically I'm going to put small h, right? H, and let's do this. So basically I want it to be hour, minute, second, for example. Do I need seconds here? Does it show seconds? No. Hour, minute. Can I do it something like this? Hour, minute, and then AM or PM, and then and then basically if you scroll down a little bit, I need the month. So basically you see here, this is the double digit month, double digit day, and double digit and triple digit year. So basically okay, so let's say I am going to year, week, year. So basically I'm going to say mmdd. So M is minute or M is month? Let's see. So the M is minute. The month is capital M. Okay, so capital M. So what I'm going to do is it's M/day/year. And I don't know what's going to happen if we do that, but we can try. Yeah. So basically that's the simple formatter. And then you see the formatter, you say format and you pass it a date. So basically you see here, pass the date and it's going to return back a string, which is the representation based on the format that you set it. So now the date is forum.getCreatedAt. That becomes my date. Right, so copy that. And basically what we could do is we can create here a string. We call it the like string. For example, string like string equals, let's say, no likes to start with, right? Okay, and we can remove this condition altogether. Now we start off, if it's 0, it says no likes. If it's equal to 1, then it's going to be 1 like. So basically I could say the like string equals that. Equals 1 like, right here it is. Okay, here we are. And then similarly, the last one is the like string equals something else, which is the like count plus. Okay, that's the string that shows the like string. And then basically what we're going to do is we are going to show it like this. Text view likes and date dot set text to the like string. That's the like string, right? That's the like string plus I think there is a pipe. And then after that, the date. So the date is going to be the formatter.format and the date. Let's have a look and see. Maybe we need to adapt the pattern a little bit, but we try, run it. Let's see, we log in. And you can see we're getting something here. We're not getting the full year. We can get the full year easily by just typing, I think, 4 Ys. Run it again. You'll get the full year. Okay, and you can see here you're getting the full year, month, date, and then what we could do also, if you want the 2-digit month and 2-digit day, you just type in and dd, and you can see here when you log in, and we did get the date set up correctly and number of likes and the pipe and so on, and it looks very similar to what we have here. You have the number of likes and then you have the date and so on, right? And you see AM and PM, straightforward, right? Okay, cool. So that's setting up the date. We're good with the date now, right? Now, some people will say, okay, how do you set up this string to be less than 200 characters? This is very easy. I'm not going to worry about it now. But what you need to do is you need to create a substring. So basically, if you look at, you can create, for example, a string, and you call it, for example, the description 200 equals. If you look at the forum, .get description .substring, you see the substring, or you could say substring, and you could say there is a beginning index and ending index. Cool. So now the beginning index is going to be 0 and the ending index is 200. The problem is that if you specify it as 200, this means that it has to be the forum description has to be 200 or more. What if it's less than 200? So basically what we could do is we could say this. We could say math.minimum, and the minimum between what? 200 and the size of the string, right? So basically you get description dot the string size, the length of the string, or the dot count, or the size. The string size is what here? Length, the length of the string, sorry. Length of the string, which is called length. So basically you can get from 0 up to the minimum, and that becomes the 200 description, and then you just display it like this. Here it is. We're good to go. Now we run it again. You'll see that it will only show, here's login, and here we are. It's only showing 200 characters. We're good to go. Very straightforward, right? And you got the list to show. Now we need to figure out how to show these trash can and the like or unlike. All right, so I'll pause for a little bit, and then I'll post the remaining part in another video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.